Okay, very good. So in 2002, we were running a nonprofit organization in Illinois, my wife and I, and we came to Florida for a vacation at Thanksgiving break. We have 5 children. Our youngest was a boy. The older 4 are all girls. We got down to Florida and our son was sick. He came in from the beach sick the first night. He said, my arms and my legs, what, So we gave him children's Motrin and he did not sleep well. He complained all night long. So by the next day we were taking him to a clinic and they didn't like the look of his pale skin, so they ran him for blood work. And that night, he was diagnosed with leukemia. And we ended up calling our hometown doc and saying, where do we go? Our son is diagnosed with leukemia. And he said, I didn't even know really what it was. I didn't know anything about it. He said, go to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So we applied there, they accepted us, we flew there, and that started a 3-year and 6-week treatment program for our son, who was 4 years old at the time. So you can imagine a little blue-eyed, blondie boy, 4 years old. And we went through that whole thing, and it just wrecked me. I was broken. So after we recovered from that whole process, our son, he recovered, and he survived, and he's alive. He's 26 now. He's doing well. My heart was changed, and it's hard for me to go past people that are in pain. And so when we ended up, many years later, an old friend of mine contacted me for help because I was selling solar systems for one of Elon Musk's companies at the time. And a friend contacted me, and I said to him, Jim, I don't really like saving rich people a little bit of money with solar systems. I would rather do something better with my life. And he said to me, well, I've got a spot, I need somebody for ThirstRelief. And he had founded ThirstRelief, and that's my business card. So turned out that his Ugandan team leader, did this just go out?
Turn it on again.
Okay. I might have touched the button, sorry. This Ugandan team leader who was very innovative and had been raising his family in Uganda, he was from the United States. He happened to be in the city where we lived at the time. And so the next day we met, and he explained to me in detail how they do stuff. And he answered all my questions that I had at the time. And so I took the job, and I left the solar world, and I got into water, sanitation, and hygiene. And then about 4 years ago, we were visiting my folks who live in Sarasota, Florida, and they're still alive, doing well. And a friend of theirs said, you need to join Rotary. We do water. And she was a Rotarian. And I was like, okay. And so I'm going to talk without the mic, okay? I promise I didn't touch the button.
I think the mass are low.
It might be low, so I'll just take this with me. So I tried to join the Rotary Club in my town, and the mayor was my sponsor, but COVID shut it down, and they just stopped meeting. And so about 8 months later, we decided to move to Florida to be closer to my parents to help them. So we moved from California, where we were at the time, to Florida during the COVID shutdown. And so then the Rotary Club in Sarasota recruited me. They said, well, we need a water guy for our club. We had nobody in that classification in our club, and it's a club of like 100 people. So they recruited me. I said, okay. I joined the club. And I started learning about Rotary. Well, my dad's a former Rotarian, so second gen. So my dad's just rooting me on. He gave me his Paul Harris Fellow Medal from the 80s, all kinds of stuff like that. And as I got more and more into it, I'm doing for my job ThirstRelief International. I'm the executive director. Now they promoted me. I'm running the charity now. And then I'm now the water guy for my club and doing global grants with my club. And so I went to Houston, the convention for Rotary in Houston a few years ago, and I met some cadres. Do you know what a cadre is? A cadre is a Rotary International expert who advises and approves global grants before they get accepted by Rotary International. And so I met some water, sanitation, and hygiene experts who I have since become good friends with. One of them lives in Kansas City, in Roland Park, Kansas City. So whenever I'm out traveling, like right now I'm on a 9-week road trip. I haven't been home for 9 weeks. We just came from Kansas City where I spent the afternoon at this Rotary cadre's home and asking him technical questions about very specific problems we deal with in the ground. And he's giving me answers like a World Bank employee who knows all about this. He's very knowledgeable. He's got 40 years. He's got 2 master's degrees. He knows all about how to fix this stuff. So he's basically mentoring me. So I've had an upgrade in my knowledge of water, sanitation, and hygiene. So that's kind of my story. Rotary, I'm now an ambassador for WashRag. So I want to give you a little pitch about WashRag, and I want to give you my perspective on what I think Rotary should focus on for the next 10 years as an organization worldwide. This is just my little perspective. You have to remember, I'm only 3 or 4 years into Rotary, so I might be wrong. But do we have anybody who's a big champion of polio, end polio now? Okay, you are. Okay, so we have almost wiped it out, right? How many cases do we have? 2 last year?
It was a handful. I think so far this year it's like 15.
Yeah.
So it went up a little bit from 2 or 3 years ago. So, but we're talking about Pakistan and Afghanistan, and I heard a talk at a club somewhere about how we got them to start doing vaccinations in those countries because they didn't trust American pharmaceuticals because they believed that we would sterilize their population. So we got Malaysia to make them. And they said, oh, Malaysia, okay, we'll accept it. And so that's how Rotary got them to start accepting vaccinations. Well, we had, as an organization, we spent $156 million last year on polio as an organization. So there's maybe a dozen and a half cases left. Water, we have 760 million people who don't have access to safe water. I'm talking about villagers who have to kneel down and drink from a puddle. I'm talking about people who have to risk getting attacked by a crocodile in Africa to get water out of a lake that's infested. I'm talking about people who have diarrhea all the time because they drink infected water. They don't have access to clean water. I'm working right now with a village in northwest Tanzania where there's 7,000 people. 100%, on our need assessment survey, 100% of them have chronic diarrhea all the time. They never are well. And they're making $4 a week per family, $4 a week per family, and they're spending $2 of that $4 on diarrhea medicine because they have to have that or they will die. Children under 5 in that living condition are at highest risk of death. The second leading cause of blindness in the underdeveloped world, we don't even have this in America, but in the underdeveloped world, the second leading cause of death is from river blindness. Washing your face with dirty river water. You get bacteria in the eyes, you get an infection, you don't know where it's from, so you wash yourself some more, it doesn't make it go away, and then you go blind. Second leading cause of blindness. Because people don't have clean water to wash their face, they don't have clean water to wash their hands. If they go to the bathroom, now they're infecting themselves and they're passing fecally. Polio gets transmitted through fecal transmission. So water and sanitation and hygiene are essential to help improve the health of people. We have 760 million plus who don't have water. We have 1.5 billion Some people say 2+ billion who don't have access to toilets. DR Congo, where ThirstRelief is doing projects right now, we have 97% of the people in DR Congo do not have access to a toilet, and they're defecating in the bush. 97%. We can fix that very inexpensively. And then we have 3 billion people out of the 8 billion in the world who don't have access to hand washing. You know, how can you wash your hands with soap and water if you don't have a fixture to wash your hands with? So we have for about $4 to $8, depending on where you get the materials and how quality you make it, we have a little thing you can put a stick on a rope, step on it, and it'll tip a little bucket of water, and then you can wash your hands. It's called a tippy tap. Have you guys heard of that before? Mm-hmm. Anybody heard of it? It's a super inexpensive way to make for villagers to, next time I come, I'll bring pictures and show you guys all this stuff. That I should have done that. Because I can see you guys you're not familiar with my world that I'm running in. So basically we go in and we help villagers get water, sanitation, and hygiene. And you can imagine the women and the girls who they can't go to Walmart and buy, Kimberly-Clark pads. So what do? They have to isolate for a week every month. They can't go to school, they can't work, they can't be around other people. They get these isolation areas they have to go. And it's not fun for them. And so we can accelerate the education, improve the whole experience of education for women and girls by teaching the villagers how to make on pedal-powered sewing machines reusable sanitary pads that they can wash, dry, and reuse. There's a way to do that, and that's being done all over the underdeveloped world. So 3 billion need hand wash. 1.5 billion need toilets, and 760 million need clean water. Rotary spent $12 million last year on this problem. And that was a breakthrough because we're increasing. Okay, I would like to see that flipped. I would like to see, maybe 12 million on polio, and maybe 150 to maybe 500 million on water, sanitation, and hygiene. I think we as an organization should focus on and increase what we're doing as much as we can in water, sanitation, and hygiene. How can you live without a drink of water? How can you? And so I'm one of the advocates who's in this category. We're not saying stop the polio thing. We're just saying, hey, if you got 15 people with it, should we spend more than $1 million per person on that? I don't know. But when we've got a couple billion who need hand wash fixtures, 3 billion, maybe we should spend more than 12 million on that. So I'm suggesting that Rotary refocus is what I'm suggesting. So I'm an advocate for that. And we have an action group in Rotary Action Group, RAG, for water and sanitation hygiene. And the acronym for our section is WASH. Water and Sanitation Hygiene, WASH. So the Rotary Action Group for Water and Sanitation Hygiene is WASH RAG. That's our name, WASH RAG. And so if you could Google WASH RAG, go to our official website, and at least get our newsletters and start tracking. And then maybe somebody in your club, and I didn't check, but I don't think your district has a champion for WASH in your district. So maybe somebody in your club who knows a little bit about water, sanitation, hygiene would like to, maybe somebody whose name reminds me of like a local retail store you might buy donuts at. That somebody like that, hey. I'm just saying that it would be so cool if this district had a WASH ambassador who would rise up and say, let me start talking about WASH. Let me start advocating for WASH. Let's try to get some clubs together to come together and do a global grant for WASH, or a district-to-district grant, or at least a club-to-club grant. And if you want to do one as your club, I have a Rotary Club in Kitale, Kenya, where they are looking for a composting toilet station right now that I can help you guys do. Or they're looking for help with a water well, so I could help you guys do. There's a couple $1,000s for the water well, and I think $4,000 for this composting sanitation. But anyway, coming through all the ways, how do we solve the problem for water with people who are living in the bush and they don't have the ability to hook up a water utility? We can't have the local city pipe water out to a hut that costs $233 to build. It's got mud walls and grass roof. We can't do that. It's just, to run a half a mile or a mile of pipe, because what's gonna happen is every other villager between there and the city water is gonna hack into that pipe and steal water, because they're all desperate, they're all poor. And then who's gonna pay for that? So what we do is we create these slow sand filters, and if you look in the back of my business card, you see the picture there of a concrete column. It's about this little bit smaller than this podium right here, and it's made with cement. And the inside is a column with rock at the bottom, and then we have sand up all the way up into it. And then in the top, there's a diffuser plate. So when they pour filthy water into the top, it breaks a fall, doesn't stir up the sand, and then it soaks through the little drilled holes in the diffuser plate. And as it soaks through, a healthy bacteria in the sand sets up and it starts to eat all the junk in the water.
Nice.
This is called a biosand filter. And if you go to Samaritan's Purse and you look up biosand filters on YouTube with Samaritan's Purse, you'll see Samaritan's Purse Canada has a 4-minute video showing the technology and how it works. The organization that I run, ThirstRelief, we build those for $100 a pop in 6 countries. And that is more than it takes for them to do it with local labor and local materials. Nothing's exported from the United States. We get photo reports with GPS coordinates back. We get details on the family. If they have a phone, we get their WhatsApp phone number from the family. We get all kinds of information about them. A filter like that can purify 20 gallons a day, which in Africa would take care of 8 to 10 people, and giving them all a liter or 2 of clean, fresh drinking water. We just started doing a brand new filter center in Lira, Uganda. And the pastor in charge of the whole project, he sent me an email the other day and he says to me, our people who have the filters, they built 10 filters for us. He said, they call it the fridge. I said, why is that? He says, because it's dark, it's got cement, and as the water sits in there, it cools. And so it's cooler to them than the ambient temperature outside. So they're drinking the water from this, and it doesn't taste like boiled water, so they don't have to cut down trees and tree branches to burn to boil the water. So they're saving the forest, they're reducing greenhouse emissions, they're helping preserve trees, they're reducing fuel needed for fire, and it tastes natural, and it tastes cooler. So you drop it by 5 degrees to a villager who's never had cold anything. He's like, must be what the people in the cities, the big cities think of. This is a fridge, So one guy thought it was so cool. He poured milk in it and he ruined it,
Yeah.
It was like, so we have to tell him, don't pour milk in this. It's not that kind of a fridge. This is for water only, and the villagers, they don't know. They've been living in the village their whole life, And some people in that condition don't know what a normal stool is. They start getting healthy. My friend Fred and Julia, who was born in Uganda, grew up raised by his grandma, who was blind from river blindness. He didn't know why she was blind until I told him. I said, here's why your grandma's blind. And I asked him what kind of blindness she had, and he told me. I said, that's river blindness. That's because the river water was infected, and when she washed her face, she got infected, and it made her blind. So he's raised by a blind grandma, and he had typhoid fever from age 4 to about 40, fighting it off and on his whole life. He got a ThirstRelief biosand filter. He started drinking from that, and his immune system got so strong that he overcame typhoid fever. And he got a hand wash fixture and soap, and he said to his family, nobody's washing your hands with any water but from that filter. Now we fundraised for that, and Fred was sent by a group of pastors to America to raise money to help them all because they're poor. So he's now selling life insurance in Boston. But a mutual friends sent him to California at the time I was living in California, and this guy says, you need to meet my friend Fred. And so I meet him, and he's selling books about his ministry in Uganda. And I'm thumbing through his book, and it is a photograph of my biosand filter project. And I stopped and I said, Fred, where'd you get this picture? He says, well, that's one of our ministries. I said, well, what do you do with those filters? He said, we distribute them for the people that make them. I said, Fred, this photo is from one of my projects. I raised the funds to pay for that project. And he looks at me and he says, you saved my life. I said, how did I do that? He says, I got one of your filters, and that's why I was dying from typhoid, and I got it, and now I'm well. So one of his kids about a year ago gets typhoid. And he's like, how did you get typhoid? And she said, I drank water from my friend's house, and they didn't have clean water, and she got sick again. Well, you know that our Civil War and our Revolutionary War, we lost more soldiers to things like cholera and typhoid than from the actual bullets. Did you know that? It's part of our history. They're just like 150 years, 200 years behind us in technology. So it's part of our history too. If you go back and you study the Civil War, a lot of guys died from, common illnesses because they got sick camping out together. Probably didn't understand how to keep things sterile. And this sad reality of our war history. So what I'm doing now is 7 countries is we've now passed 1 million lives that we've impacted. ThirstRelief. This is a charity that I run. And now I'm very involved with Rotary International. And we currently have a global grant, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's a group of women who are in northwest Uganda, and they are mainly a woman-led Rotary group. There's a couple men in it now. And they just got the money for a global grant, $118,000 grant. They are doing 12 villages with 18,000 people. They're putting in 34 water wells. They're putting in 900 latrines. So people who've never had a toilet are now going to have a place to go. Their club makes soap, liquid and bar soap, and they distribute it to the people. I think they might be selling it. They also are distributing water filters, and ThirstRelief made 60 filters for them, and we put them in village homes, and then they're distributing more filters, like 900 more filters. The first village we did a beta test on. This whole project was designed by my friend in Kansas City, who's a Rotary cadre, and he's a lifelong expert in this field. The first village we did, we had 100% diarrhea reduction. Nobody had diarrhea anymore in that village, completely eliminated. So the way it works with diarrhea is, if you're in a village and you have no clean water, you're defecating in the bush, you don't have a way to wash your hands with soap and water, you're gonna, a certain percentage of those people are gonna have diarrhea. They're gonna be sick all the time, probably 40, 50%. And then what happens is you have, you come in, and if you give them clean water to drink, you can knock out 33% of those people. So now you've reduced the sickness by about 35%. Then if you come back and you say, here's hand wash fixtures with soap, add this to your routine. Use the filtered water to wash your hands, use soap every day, and after you do certain things, you tell them, just teach them how, you can raise the reduction of diarrhea to 50%. Once you get to 50%, the next step is to add a latrine. So if you stop defecating in the bush and the trails, then nature's not spreading the disease-causing pathogens and other junk all over the place, and everywhere you walk and everything you touch is contaminated. Now you've got a pit latrine with a ventilation pipe so it doesn't stink, that you can go in and do your duty in. Now your reduction of diarrhea generally drops to 90% or better. Now, we had 100% in the one village, but the studies showed over 90%. So the quickest path to do that is, and we do a water filter, a hand wash fixture, and soap, and a pit latrine. We can do a pit latrine for $50 to $60. They dig the hole. The Rotarian group in Uganda that I'm connected with, they're digging the pits by hand. And most of it's women. They're drilling the wells with these tools, hand drilled with an air compressor technology. The women are doing it. I mean, this is amazing. It's strong women, female Rotarians doing this. They're proud of what they're doing, and they're changing the lives of 18,000 villagers. Well, we said to the district water officer in Uganda, how many more villages do you have? Because I'd like to get started fundraising for the next global grant. You know, he goes, well, just in this district, we have 304 more villages that need water. They need toilets, they need hand wash fixtures, and they don't have anything. And I want to get started on the next grant, but the Rotarians can't handle anymore. They got to finish this one first in that area. So I'm developing other Rotary clubs that we can work with. So what am I saying? I'm just saying you can jump in, you can join me in what I'm doing. You can become a partner with ThirstRelief if you want to. $25 a month will give 30 people clean water a year through ThirstRelief. Just go to ThirstRelief.org, our website, and click donate and set it to a recurring gift. $25 a month will give 30 people, 25 for 30, $25 a month will give 30 people clean water through ThirstRelief for the next 30 years. It's a 30-year piece of equipment that we built. Or you can get involved with me on a global grant, or you could just go to WashRag and start your own thing. You know, but if you want to connect with me, you can email my email and tell me I want to be involved the next time you do a global grant, or if you got a global grant you want me to advocate for that you're working on, I can be an advisor to help you design it so it'll go right through the system pretty fast. You have a question?
Yeah, and I may be way off base. I thought polio also was spread through water.
It is.
So my, just an outside wall thinking,
Yeah.
if there is a problem in Afghanistan and Pakistan and a few of the other countries, I think
Yeah.
Miramar was in there and some other ones,
Yeah,
why not the next phase address the water supply?
yeah,
Because right now, what I understand is they're giving them the vaccine, which is to prevent once you get it.
right,
But if you stop the source, which is the water,
right,
which is what this does,
yep,
you might actually get those 10 or 15 cases down to zero.
yeah. I know that, I don't know that much about polio. There's probably somebody in this club that knows more about it than I do. But E. coli,
There's all kinds of diseases.
all kinds of sicknesses, typhoid,
Yeah.
cholera, and a bunch of others that these simple water filters that we have will wipe it out at the point of use. So and the problem with the systemic, like I sit on the Haiti hand wash team, and the problem with Haiti is you've got so much instability with the government. A big system like that is just ripe for the pickings of bribery and theft.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I like about the cement biosand filter is it's too heavy for one African man to walk up, pick it up, and steal it. It weighs 250 pounds. It's just too heavy. And we do it that way on purpose to prevent or reduce theft. You know, and so, my thinking is, we've helped save 1 million. We want to go to 2 million faster. So we're 19 years old as an organization. So I'm like, can we get to 2 million in the next couple of years? Yes, we could. If we can get more Rotary clubs, churches, individuals involved in what we're doing and help us to get to more people.
Yeah, but if this can stop polio,
Yeah,
you're freeing up all that money and all those people to go towards water.
I know people who would know the answer to that. I don't know the answer.
I'd check into that.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yes, sir.
Bill, the biosand filters will do a fantastic job reducing bacteria. Polio is a virus that's much, much, much smaller and want to know to what extent the biosand filter after it accumulates a good biomass, how effective it is on virus production, but that may be.
Yeah, I know the answer on that. I'll give it to you very quickly. It's like 99.7% with bacterial, and with virus, different studies show different amounts. It goes from 75% or so up to about 98% on viral, depending on how well the filter's managed. So I don't know if it's the right solution. It might be better to use a Sawyer filter, which is a different technology for that, because
So you're actually not capable of doing the virus reduction.
Okay.
In sort of World Health Organization standards or
Right.
Military standards.
Right.
Where in the presence of other contaminants
Right.
in the water, it doesn't do all that well. In clean water,
Yeah.
it will. But it,
well, and then the biosand filter won't, because they're about the same.
right.
So I don't think that would be a solution for
For the public.
viral infections of that particular kind. You know, most of the problems, like when you talk to somebody who's sick, they got typhoid and malaria. There's nobody in Africa with polio right now. So there's several 100 million people who face malaria and some other sickness on a regular basis. They're at risk. And so the lion's share of the problem, 760 million, you know, like we're in the Amazon, and I don't know if polio's in the Amazon. I don't think it is.
No.
And so, but we're dealing with cholera and other sicknesses in the Amazon that we can wipe out. We've got plenty of water. We've got to put a biosand filter in there. They take a bucket, they pour it through, and they've solved the problem for the most part. And the proof is in, like one Rotary cadre said to me, the proof is in diarrhea. Do they have diarrhea anymore? If they don't, their health is dramatically improved. And so what we're doing, and this is the other part of my talk. Can I have 2 minutes? Let me do this part. I'm a little after one. Okay, so a lot of people do water projects, sanitation projects, hygiene projects. They say, well, we put in X number of this, we put in X number of that, we put in X number of this. All these pieces of equipment are installed, right? Yay! But they're not reporting on the impact on the health of the people. And so the new thinking among some of the experts, and I'm starting to hear this from wash rag leaders in our training sessions. And if you want to get trained up in this, join wash rag. You can become a member for like $25 a year, and then come to our training things. And if you want to become a wash rag ambassador, then you can get in on the monthly or regular training sessions where you get high quality technical training that's really advanced. So we test for what percentage of people have diarrhea before we do the installation. That's our baseline. We come back with periodic tests, capture the data. How many people still have diarrhea when we're done? And we're seeing the numbers. When you combine technologies very cheaply, you're seeing the numbers drop like a rock. It's great. So that's our strategy as Rotarians. And so I want to invite this club to, become a wash rag club and join me in the effort to end water, sanitation, and hygiene. Our thinking is that everyone should have access to water, soap, and a place to do their duty. So that's my talk. What do you guys have? Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to comment back to what Bill's saying. Even if the biosand filter doesn't do an adequate job of removing polio virus at 99.999% reduction that people are looking for, polio virus or any other virus that is contagious to a human is not going to stay alive a long time without a host organism or cell. And so this fecal matter is really what it comes down to.
Right.
And so we're back to the wash units, the latrines and so forth, and
Right.
hand washing, that actually could be more effective in reducing the spread of polio than filtered drinking water alone.
That's a good point.
That's what the cadre said to me, basically. And then the other thing is, if the live virus is not known to be present in a country like Uganda, then we don't talk about addressing polio in Uganda very much anymore, except for
Yeah, it's
vaccination.
not over there. I mean, we know the countries, right? It's Afghanistan and
Right.
Pakistan, that area.
Mhm.
And so there's something else that's got to happen, because doing the vaccines is not doing it. is still over there. So whether it's latrines or something else, I mean, there's another part of the component to fix it. And vaccines is not gonna cut it.
Well, and my thinking is, okay, so how much should we spend to reach the 15 people who have that, when we have hundreds of millions who need this other, and so that's my advocacy, is like, don't stop doing polio, but let's emphasize WASH. Let's emphasize that. So there you go. That's
Cool.
Yep.
Being your Rotarian, you probably already have one, a 4-way test coin.
I do not.
Well,
You're
you
the
do.
first club to give me one of these.
Really?
Yes.
And we don't charge much.
Well, that's got Texas hospitality.
That's exactly right.
Service above self. I love this. This is so
4-way
great.
test on the back.
Yeah.
If you can read that without your glasses, yep.
I know it by heart, so I
Oh, I know, yes, we do too. Okay.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate your hospitality.
Thank you, appreciate it.